Male gaze was a theory defined by Laura Mulvey in her 1975 essay, Visual Pleasure in Narrative Cinema, in which women are shown from a heterosexual male point of view for their pleasure, reducing women to sexual objects while the men are central, heroic characters who take control of the narrative, thus perpetuating the patriarchal values in society which value men more. Because films were traditionally made almost entirely by men, and even today only around 10% of directors are women, the male gaze was the main point of view seen because women had so little say in what went on screen. However, in the 2019 film Portrait of a Lady on Fire, directed by Celine Sciamma, the use of male gaze was subverted quite significantly, instead highlighting the idea of the female gaze. Through the emphasis on the protagonist Marianne frequently observing the other protagonist, Heloise, to paint her, female gaze was made clear. Heloise's discomfort in posing for a male artist, but eventually allowing Marianne to paint her, links to the idea of scopophilia, in which female characters are observed by men in a sexual nature, often without their consent. Perhaps the most noticeable difference, at least to me, was how centralized on screen all the female characters were. Most of the shots were medium close-ups from the neck up or long shots of their whole body, which highlighted the characters themselves more than their bodies. Similarly, most of the close-ups on body parts were less sexualized, taking particular focus on the hands or the eyes. Even during scenes of a sexual or romantic nature, both women were in control of the narrative, only revealing themselves to each other in private spaces and with direct consent from both of them. In particular, in the final long take at the very end of the movie, the camera slowly tracks in and then stops on Heloise as she watches the orchestra. This is an ultimate showcase of female gaze, as not only is it a POV from Marianne's perspective, but it also highlights the very act of a woman gazing, as opposed to focusing the camera on what is being gazed at. Portrait of a Lady on Fire perfectly captures the idea of the female gaze, with its complex and centralized female characters and hardly any men throughout the film. Subverting the hypersexualized nature of the male gaze, Portrait of a Lady highlights the complexities of the female gaze instead, portraying the women as active leaders of their own narratives. Thanks for watching.